Welcome to Up to Speed, Baker Tilly's automotive industry podcast. I am your host, Mike.mader, a dealership principal at Baker Tilly. Up to Speed serves as the automotive industry's connecting point to hear about conversation from industry leaders regarding topics pertaining to tax, accounting, and operations of retail dealerships. We arrive in your mailbox the third Wednesday of every month. If you'd like to listen to or view past episodes of Up to Speed, you can find them at our website at bakertilly.com/dealerships. You can also find past episodes on Baker Tilly US YouTube channel. So welcome to this month's episode of Up to Speed. Today, we're going to discuss the rapidly advancing world of AI in the retail automotive industry. I am thrilled to have a distinguished specialist in AI joining me to delve into the transformative impact of artificial intelligence, from optimizing inventory management to enhancing customer experiences. AI is revolutionizing the way auto dealers operate. We will explore the latest innovations, talk about what roadblocks to look out for, and discuss some practical applications that you'll be able to use. With me today is Todd Smith from QoreAI. Todd is a pioneer in automotive technology, redefining how dealerships leverage data and AI to drive growth within their organization. As CEO of QoreAI, he's building the industry's first AI-powered system of intelligence, transforming dealership data into real-time, revenue-generating insights across sales, marketing, and operations. He previously founded ActiveEngage, scaling it into automotive's largest managed chat platform, and now advises and invests in breakthrough auto tech as managing director of Kaizor. Todd, it's a pleasure to have you with us this month on our Up to Speed.
Mike, I'm just so happy to be here. Super excited to talk about, very passionate about AI, as well as data, as well as the industry I've grown to love after spending 35 years in it. So, let's get started.
Well, that's awesome. I've been in it for quite a long time as well. I think I'm 24 years in public accounting and 8 years inside the dealership as well. And I always keep telling people, once it gets into your blood, it's in there. So it's kind of hard to get out of it. You get really attracted to it. So Todd, I'm not an expert in the AI field, but it is both fascinating and scary all at the same time. We hear all types of things that AI is capable of, but let's talk about AI in the dealership space and what actually is real right now and what is hype.
Sure. So let's break it down, right? We'll start with the real. To me, real is just using AI on top of the data to help you make better decisions, right? So scoring customers, are they actually in market? So instead of broadcast marketing to your entire database, you can really fine tune and use AI to target people who are actually in market. Or maybe you want to identify people who are about to defect from service because we see the pattern that they're now doing that is very similar to people who have already defected from the dealership. The other side is just matching inventory to a particular customer, because AI is really good at understanding pattern matching and understanding customers in general. If you feed it enough intelligence, it could say, oh, Todd is most likely going to buy a Chevy Tahoe LTZ or High Country because of these features. And I see right now the beginning of using AI, just what I call the beginning of outreach. So being able to, send automation using AI to create what is really called personalization at scale. So that's where I draw the line. Now, hype around this, it's going to come down to things like agentic agents, so which are autonomous. I don't need a human. The system automatically do things for us. We're not quite there yet. Or AI completely taking over, let's say, a BDC or business development center. It's coming, but we're not there yet. A lot of tech, we continue to see, it's still at what I call the PowerPoint ware level. It's not productized yet. It's being worked on, but there is a lot of hype, just like any hype cycle, right? There was a hype cycle around the internet back around 2000, and then kind of saw it kind of dip back down. This is a little different because AI would never exist unless we had the internet. So this is kind of a kind of a wrapper around the internet. So it's a little different beast, but definitely a lot of hype. And I don't think dealers ultimately are going to care as much about the AI as much as what it's going to do for them, which could be, making cleaning up their data, making their marketing more efficient to reduce their operating costs, augmenting what people are doing in a dealership that's kind of very repetitive task, being able to kind of offload that, where nobody wants to fill in and follow up on lead follow up in a CRM. So I think the winners are really going to focus around that, automate the boring, repetitive workflows, not reinvent anything. It's not going to reinvent the whole industry overnight, but it's definitely going to make a massive impact, especially in a shorter time. It's interesting how long it took. It took the internet about 23 years to reach I think it was like 500 million users or something. And ChatGPT did it in a few months. So, and now because these things are building on each other, right? So I think, again, this tech is very powerful, and it's exciting where we're at right now. We're at the bottom of that J curve. It's kind of how I like to look at it.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy how intuitive it already is. I mean, when you talk about calling to make your service appointment, and you may be talking to somebody, well, not somebody, you may be talking to AI the entire process. You're not quite sure it's AI or not. So you think about it, and it's like, okay, how did this actually go through? But it's amazing how accurate and what it can do at this point in time already.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you said, we've only started, so we've got a lot to go. So
we're not even we're not even up the bat yet, frankly.
I know.
We're still in the dugout. But yeah, it's going to happen very rapidly.
And that's what makes it so fascinating but scary at the same time. Yeah. So, the dealer's DMS system stores a lot of data that could be used by AI. I mean, we've got all kinds of information in those systems. So what kind of data do dealers already have that could power better AI outcomes, but they're not using well?
Yeah, so let's look at dealer data. I feel like dealers are sitting on a gold mine or a giant oil field of data. Maybe oil field's a better analogy in this conversation. So looking at it, sitting on an oil field, but you have to get the oil out of the ground, and then you have to refine it, and that's what turns it into the value. So yes, dealers are sitting on a tremendous amount of data. I call it all transactional data because the data in CRMs or DMSs, it's all transactional in nature. It's a lead. Right. In the DMS, it's a transaction of a sale. It's a transaction of a service repair order, whether warranty or customer pay. All of these are transactional moments. But inside that, AI is amazing at spotting patterns. So the first thing you have to do, any dealer, is take all the data out of these disparate systems, clean it, hygiene it, and put it, what I call, into a format that is AI ready. The data, sometimes you want to put it on a graph. A lot of this ultimately is put up into what's called a RAG, which is it's a layer that lives between the actual LLM, large language model, and the dealer's data, because you want to keep PII private. So the dealers can do, once they get the oil out of the ground, it's refined. AI is really good at spotting those patterns, like anticipating this customer used to be a regular service visitor, yet we haven't seen them in 6 months. Flag it. Pop that over into someone I want to reach out to. This customer, every 3 years, when their lease is up, they purchase their vehicle. So stop trying to convert them into another new lease. Send them an offer to buy out their vehicle at your dealership so they don't just go to their local bank. This affords you an opportunity. I also think just inside, you can look at efficiencies of your employees. We have a project right now. I call it the Emily Project because that's her name. She is a controller in a auto group, and she spends a lot of time processing payroll, especially around the variable ops, which requires a bunch of different pay plans and understanding about commissions. So you got to pull all the sold vehicles and what was the gross, and then you have to match it to the pay plan for that particular salesperson or sales manager. This takes hours and hours of her time. So this is a project that AI is perfect for, because AI, the one thing, it does have perfect memory. So if I can train it to do something, it will always do it that way. Now, ultimately, you want to keep Emily in the loop. She's the controller. But if you can offload 6 hours of her time or 4 hours of her time, think about that efficiency gain organizationally. And that's where we see AI really making an early impact for dealerships and dealership groups. And the other key thing, every piece of technology in automotive is built what I call, it's a single garage. And what I mean by that is a DMS, a CRM, they're built to run one store. The problem is when these groups have multiple stores, there's no way to easily stitch that data together.
Right.
This is where AI is magical. To be able to say, let's say I have 2 Toyota stores, one's on the north side of town, one's on the south. I have customers who come and buy in my north store, yet they're servicing in my south store. They don't buy there. And maybe one's closer to work, or however that works as a transition. So interesting enough, you have the people in the north store sending loss leader coupons to come in for service. And now they're using them in the south store, eroding profitability. So these are types of things that AI can cut across multiple siloed, what I call single car garage systems, and analyze that data, spot those patterns, and make valuable contribution to financial success, operational success. And to me, just I point down the human success of not being stuck in very repetitive work.
Yeah. And I think that's where we see a lot of AI, especially even in the public accounting area, is that repetitiveness is utilizing it for that. But I can fully understand your analogy on the payroll, because when I was in the dealerships, I did some payrolls, and some of those variable commission calculations, oh my goodness, you always like the acronym KISS, keep it simple, silly. You know,
not
it's
in our business.
no,
absolutely
man.
not in our business.
Exactly.
We can make a workflow complex. We will figure out a way to over-engineer a workflow, like a pay plan. It's like, oh, well, you have this on this bonus, but you get this only if this happens. And then if your CSI has to match this, then you get that. There's a lot of that. And listen, that's okay. The good thing is AI can rip through that really quickly and determine, and create that flow.
That's awesome.
Right now it takes pattern, like our patterns, like for Emily, it's the pattern of, oh, I kind of, and she still reviews her own work at the end. Right. So I feel, even though she's been doing it for years. So again, these are just things where we still believe humans should be in the loop, but let's offload some of that what we can inefficient time use. Things that nobody wants to do.
Yeah, let AI do the work and let the humans review it.
Yeah, exactly. So. And it's the same with code today, right? So for us at QoreAI, about 37% of all the code we are writing for our application is being written by AI. Now, we still have our engineers in the loop to analyze that, but it's speeding us up. Now, if we compare something like Anthropic, which you've probably heard of Claude, similar to ChatGPT, 90% of their code is being written by AI. And this seems to be the benchmark that we see Microsoft, Google, Facebook, all towards a point when the majority of code will be completely written by AI. This is going to change a lot of things for us. It's going to change the speed that we're able to build new technology. It's also going to change the trajectory of this technology, and not only what we're building, but the capabilities of what we're building. So things are going to be much more quickly. That's a very exciting point for the software industry in general. So we're just excited to be part of it. And I will tell you today, at our company, just like I'm sure thousands of companies around the world, we're all learning how to leverage this basis.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You talked a lot about data. You've talked about, the dealer systems, and some of the DMS, dealer management systems, are a little archaic. And I'm sure you've seen the insides of a lot of these systems. But what are some of the common data mistakes or the blind spots that you see are hurting dealerships' performance today?
That's a really great question. It's a thoughtful question. So let me answer it this way. The first, I don't believe many dealers and groups have prioritized data as a foundational layer organizationally. I think it's been treated as, I'm going to say this, the, ugly redhead stepchild. Sorry to all gingers watching and listening, but, I look at it as it's always an afterthought. And I think the first blind spot I've noticed. Now, and why I say that is to really make AI a functional part of your organization. It all begins with clean, organized data.
Mm-hmm.
So that's operational point number one. Two, out of this, it's very common when we pull back the curtain on DMS data or CRM data, we see a lot of massive duplication of data. And it happens because all of these systems don't have an authentication process to put data in it. So case in point, maybe husband and wife buy a car and it's titled in the husband's name. And the wife now brings it in. So now her name is entered against that VIN. So now you have two people on one VIN. So when it starts, the marketing engine kicks in, it's now sending multiple pieces to the household. Now their son or daughter brings that car in. Their name's now associated. Not uncommon because there's no system that's looking at that data going, hey, we're smart enough to realize these three people live in the same household and are attached to the same VIN. But AI is really good at spotting that, building household data, household understanding. So that's, again, for us, low-hanging fruit to kind of fix. Other things beyond duplication, do they still own that car? We find 40% or more out of DMS data is they no longer own the car that was marked in the DMS at that transactional moment. Other things, we see tons of deceased records. We just did a project for a auto group. They said they had a clean data lake. We always say most data lakes are swamped. And there was over 800,000 records in it. So I will say not a small data set. And we went in and looked at it, and they had built, a nice architecture, probably way over-engineered for our industry, but let's get past that. So out of 800 and some thousand, they said it was clean. We found a little over 33,000 of the people in that data set were deceased. So we're now matching data on outside data points, right? But you think about that. It's only 2.5, closing in on maybe 3%, right, of the data, or a little bit more, and which is not uncommon. People do pass away at a percentage, and if you have a long trajectory of data, like 5, 8, 10, 12 years, of course, you're going to have that. But it's hard when people say, yeah, my data is clean because, they just cleaned some emails or phone numbers or formatted the names correctly. You have to go farther than that. So to me, and nothing would be worse, like if my spouse passed away and I got direct mail in their name, I think I'd be pretty pissed off. And yeah. I've talked to other dealer group managers and they're like, yeah, that's not good, but it's happening every day. So to me, this all resolves down to ultimately you need a true identity resolution for a customer. Understanding how a customer does business with you, as we talked about earlier, are they shopping in one store, buying in another, or servicing in a different one? How are they interacting with your business? Multiple people are bringing the same car in. All these things, AI can learn to understand about your customers and then provide much more clear direction on how to communicate with them. So to me, these are those blind spots, and it is all rooted in the data and getting data right. And it's a hard job. It's like, what was that guy on TV, Mike, the guy who did the really ugly jobs all the time? Like he'd go the plumbers underground and that guy, right? It's the really dirty work, right? That you have to do the data, and you can't. I always have also found, like when you hear marketing companies say they do the data work, you cannot be a master of two things. Right. And I've learned you're a master of data or you're a master of marketing. And when you try to be a master of both, you're actually a master of none.
Well, and I can't wait till they get the AI in there to fix it, because my daughter brings her car in. It used to be a car that I had. I bought for her. I gave it to her. She's told them 10 times, this is mine. Send me the stuff now. Every time it goes in and she brings it in, I get the text, hey, we found this wrong. Do you want us to take care of that right away too? I'm like, I don't know. That's my daughter.
Yeah. So but it's common. And it's that point where, you have to be able to look at the data to, ultimately what I consider create those better outcomes. But we've had to build all kinds of algorithms to do even the most basic things, like look at names to make sure they're not in all cap. Okay. Because if they're in all cap in this database and then you upload them in an email tool, the email tool is going to send it out all caps too.
Yeah.
Or did they fat finger the .com into .con? Or did they put a comma instead of a period? Or did they obscure the name because a salesperson was trying to hide it in the CRM and saw you, Mike, were the previous sales guy, but I want to sell it. So I kind of remove your name and change the customer's name enough that you're not associated with it. So
what do you see? These are all great things for AI, but what are some very low-hanging fruit that a dealership could do instead of doing an entire overhaul? Because I think that's what a lot of dealers get scared. Anytime with technology, they think they're going to make a change and they've got to do everything. But are there some low-hanging fruit items that a dealer can do pretty quick without redoing their entire system?
Yeah. So first thing is they need to take all the data out of these disparate systems into a system and a data set that they actually own. And this is different because you don't want another vendor in the process per se. You need to own the data because it's the most valuable thing at the end. If you just rely on, a CDP vendor, a CRM vendor, DMS vendor, you're always only going to be capable of doing whatever that vendor has and can do with the data. So for me, I think the number one thing, dealers need to get a hold of all their data, organize it, and then, you build intelligence on top of it. So I think it's important that dealers take the time and invest in a data strategy first. And by doing that, it changes the trajectory of their overall business. So, and I think always, because I think a lot of these vendors, it's going to change very rapidly over the next 12 to 24. You're going to have lots of AI tools come in. And if you bolt those AI tools over your bad data, you're going to get a lot of angry customers. Because to me, AI is an accelerant, right? It's only going to, and we've seen it already happen. I was just at a group. They turned on an AI voice tool to handle service appointments. Well, they turned it off in 3 days. Not because the AI didn't work. It showed how bad their in-store processes were. It accelerated and moved customers to a bad experience faster. You don't want that. And these are those things. And I always say data first, then what is your process and system? Then can we use AI to make that better, faster, more enriched, more valuable, take cost out, deliver better experience? And I think when you think of it that way, it's much more palatable for a dealer or dealer group to get his arms around. It's almost just get your data organized, clean, accurate, connected to services you want to use, understand your processes deeply. And I think we both know, and maybe from the accounting side, you have deep experience where a dealer will say, this is our process. And then you go physically in store and they don't do that at all. Now, They say theoretically this is happening, but it's actually not happening. And I see this every day inside stores. They'll tell me this is our workflow for lead management or marketing automation and equity mining. And then you go and actually talk to the people doing those things. It's nothing like that was described by the dealer principal or GM or manager. Nothing.
Okay,
So,
and then I get that. I can understand that. But if you've got, so you talked about data cleanup.
Yeah.
Can't we produce an AI to do the data cleanup?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really what we're doing now. And I'll give you an interesting story. So we built multiple algorithms to do things like this, where it'll go in and clean up errors in data, right? Like the .con, the caps, things I've mentioned before. But it was very interesting. So we trained it to do those things. And I don't know, about a month and a half ago, we were in our engineers were all huddled around a computer. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, come here and look at this. And I was like, what am I looking at? And they're like, well, you know how we trained the AI to look at data and look for mistakes? And I was like, yep. We trained it on permeations and like name format, phone number formats, email formats, all these things. They're like, yeah, but someone had marked a Honda Pilot for $5,380,000 in the system, and the AI went in and corrected it. So basically, someone put missed the decimal point, right? Fat fingered it. So the $53,800 passport or Pilot was really it was 5.3 million. Our system corrected it. But the interesting thing, Mike, we never trained our system to do that. So our system is learning and adapting. And this is why I'm always so excited about this technology, is because you can train it and it will learn and adapt. And to me, this is nothing we've ever dealt with, because a SaaS product will never do that. Any software that's come before AI, you go in and you write the code to change a process. Now we're dealing with something that is learning and adapting on its own. And this isn't the first time we've seen something like this. Well, as a species, us is the first time we've seen a species do this. But in our business, it wasn't the first time. It was a more profound moment for us where we were able to see the data transform like that. Another one, which I think is kind of also crazy, that one of our main engineers, MIT guy, double doctorate, I always feel like smartest guys on the planet, where you meet guys, he's actually a literal rocket scientist, which, it's always nice to have a rocket scientist around.
Yeah.
You can talk about propulsion engineering. So we wanted to build the next generation AI predictor for what vehicle will you drive next. So we have all this like Equifax data, we have all your transactional data, and we said, can we mash all this together and understand you very deeply and understand people who are like you very deeply, that we can predict what you'll drive next. So I sent the engineers, went off, took them a while, came back. Yancey's like, hey, Todd, check this out. So I was like 73% accurate to predict what someone was going to buy. And how we do it is it's a regression test. We'll say, we know these 1,000 people bought cars. So now we remove the car they bought, you feed it into the AI, and you say, go predict what they're going to buy. And it gives you back results. So out of the whole shot, single shot, it was 73% accurate on 1,000 people. I'm the car guy. And I'm like, there's no way. I was like, there's no way. I was like, you need to go back and do this again. There's just no way it's that accurate. And he's like, okay. So he spent another week, over a weekend, calls me on Sunday. He goes, hey, get on a Zoom. I was like, okay. About half a dozen engineers were on the Zoom. He's like, look at it now. And I was like, now it was 79.84% accurate. And he ran it on 100,000 sales. It actually got better. So we're going to enter this time. You remember Minority Report, when he's like walking down the street and it says, hey, you need new jeans. It looked like you gained like 2 pounds. We're entering a time, I think for us, we think we're snowflakes and we think we're very independent and driven that way. We're actually very pattern driven. So, and that's what
we're creatures of habit.
Yep. And listen, you live in this neighborhood. We know the types of cars in that neighborhood. We know what you've previously driven. Once you can add all these things, we understand your financial makeup. We know what your household income is, your household debt. We understand affordability. We understand your household makeup. Does it have children? Are you an empty nester? All these components, like millions of markers, can be analyzed in seconds and can predict. So we're able to predict year, make, model, trim at 79.84%.
Wow, that's amazing.
We can infer at almost 100%. Like I know you'll buy a car, you'll buy a truck, you'll buy SUV, you'll buy a convertible, you'll buy like Jeep. Like we understand that totally. But yeah, it's bizarre. Like some of the stuff, listen, we sit around and I'm like, this is scary. Like, how is this possible? And it's exciting though. I love it.
It is. So with that, I mean, you've given us a couple of ideas as to what dealerships can use AI for. What are some other things that that you're seeing in the dealership world that dealers are actually using AI to better the customer experience, to improve efficiencies, or put money down to the bottom line? Because that's ultimately what their goal is to provide exceptional client service to their customers, as well as get money down to the bottom line.
Sure. So as we talked about, I always look at AI not as the first, is to understand the process. And I want to look at a process. So let's talk about a process that most people hate, which is lead response. So right now, if you've bought a car in the last couple of years, or honestly in the last 25 years or 6 years since CRMs were really a thing, the emails are terrible. They're templated. They're all just like me, buy from me, set an appointment. Do you want to set an appointment on this car? They're not value driven. So AI is really good at learning about you behaviorally. So you could text me a couple times or send me an email. I could use AI to look at that email and behaviorally align with you. So use a language you like, understand, and will respond to, and then personalize it. So the first thing I say, low hanging fruit, you can use ChatGPT literally off the shelf to do this. You can put an email text in, take any PII out. You don't want to expose it to the internet at all. Take the VIN out, but you could create better communication with consumers. The other thing is overcoming hard things. You have a problem client. So, and they're going to send you that long email. You put dirt in my floor mats. You guys stuck. And made me wait 5 hours. Most of the time, they get a generic response. No, this is an opportunity for you to personalize that and win that customer. And to me, these are those great, easy ways to use like AI in your average day. And I love, obviously we're always in meetings, right? And I don't know if you use like a recorder, like an Otter. I use one called Fixer out of England. It'll record all my stuff in my meetings and then pushes it down, and then, it's transcribed and put into bullets, and it makes it way more understanding. And then I can feed it into my GPT that says, okay, what do I need to do next? Like out of that conversation, what are my deliverables? So to me, it's about creating efficiency as a human. Like how can you leverage this technology to 10x ourselves? So when you do that first, then it's much easier to apply it to your business. You don't just want to, oh, that's just for my business. You want to figure out how to leverage these things in your daily life. I use another one, this little thing called Limitless. So it just turns on. It's on right now. This is recording everything we're saying. So if I'm on phone calls, I'll have this on and I can just put it on speaker. I will record everything. And I record if I'm walking with my son. I'll record every conversation and I'll break it down. Hey, did I do good? Did I do bad? How do I improve this? Did I get my point across? What happened? How do I get better at what I'm already trying to do? This is where I believe these technologies are going to basically free us up to do the things we really want to do, make us better communicators, make us better at, and more efficient in our daily lives. Because listen, I'm sure like you, like me, like every dealer listening, man, we just get inundated in emails and marketing pitches, and like there's just so much clutter. AI will cut all through that. Just show me what's important to run my business. If it's going to help my business, go review that website. Give me why it's going to help my business so I can literally make decisions on the fly, that if I want to talk to them or not. Like go do the analysis for me. Like that's the world we're heading to. So think of like having a true companion co-pilot with you all the time in every situation, that it's like your trusted advisor. And look, within a few short years, we're going to get to a point where we're going to enter what's called super intelligence. So right now, I would say any ChatGPT is basically like a college level student for reasoning capability, understanding. We're within a very short period of time, we're going to have a engine that would take all of humanity's knowledge forever and be in your pocket. So that means the best accountant in your pocket, best stock trader in your pocket, best lawyer in your pocket, best surgeon or doctor in your pocket. Because as it's aggregating all of this data, and think beyond a car dealership's data, all the interaction data, that's where we're going to enter this entirely new frame that we're going to have to figure out how to use. And super intelligence, it's on its way. It's part of what's called AGI, which is what's called artificial general intelligence, kind of the next level past that. We have not got to AGI yet. Maybe we're 18 to 24 months from there, and maybe another 12 months or so into super intelligence. But within a few short years, I mean, this already is powerful, right? You could Google search. I can get like, hey, I can look at something as simple as, what restaurants are around me, what do I want to, eat, all that. But imagine it like 10x more valuable. Imagine it going like, hey, Todd, what do you want to eat tonight? I want Italian. Well, this is the best Italian place within 3 miles of you. Based on your schedule, you have time to go eat here. Think of it like literally living right with you to have those types of interactions. And then go beyond that. Like, I just got an email for business. It's a new business opportunity. Hey, I've analyzed that business. It seems legit. We can pressure test it. This is what I suggest you do. All of that is like right around the block.
And that's why it's so fascinating, but yet so scary. So Todd, I want to thank you for this very interesting conversation. This concludes this month's episode of Up to Speed. Thank you for giving us some insights into AI and its role in the dealership space, offering retail dealerships another avenue to enhance the customer experience and potentially build some efficiencies. To our audience, thank you for joining us today, and be sure to tune in to next month's episode, where we will have our second episode relating to something in the realm of AI. So we look forward to seeing you in our next Up to Speed episode. We arrive in your mailbox the third Wednesday of every month, and you can also visit us at our website or view past episodes on Baker Tilly's YouTube channel. So Todd, I want to thank you again. It was a great conversation, and we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe.
Thank you so much.
All right. Until next month, make it a great day.